Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to One Hub Racing here for round number 4 of the championship here in P2. My name's, of course, Michael Edwards, going to be taking you through the action, and joining alongside me in the commentary box is my right-hand man, my partner in crime. It is, of course, Colin Mason. Colin, how are you doing, mate?
Evening, Mike. Evening, all. So here we are for round 4, Mike. And this one I think is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, a very testing circuit. Of course, it can catch a lot of people out. The curbs can be quite ferocious. A lot of tricky traction. There's almost very few areas to make overtaking maneuvers. It's going to be one of those races, Cole, where it's all going to be about keeping your head, keeping your cool, keeping your composure, and just capitalizing on what happens in front.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, Mike, you've driven this circuit a few times. I've done it myself. It's very difficult to overtake. Like you said, there's not many opportunities. So you don't want to get frustrated. You got to keep calm and let everyone else make the mistakes.
Exactly, and of course, looking at the circuit, is of course the Zandvoort circuit. Of course, we are here in the Netherlands for round number 4. 36 laps await the drivers, 14 corners, 4 to the left and 10 to the right. Two DRS zones, one down the start finish straight and one down into the turn 11 12 chicane. 4.2 kilometers, 2.6 miles in length, and of course former winners around here. Of course, last P2 winner we had around here is Axlock, who of course is playing this tree right now in P1. And Mathis was a former race winner around here back in the old P3 days, Carl.
Yes, yeah, he's driven pretty well this season. Hasn't reached the heights that he did back in the P3 days. But I know he loves this track. It's his favourite track. So he's definitely going to be one to watch out for tonight.
Yeah, and of course, looking at the drivers that will be racing here tonight. Of course, in the Red Bulls is, of course, Jess and Catherine teaming up. In the Mercedes, we got Jay Luke in the car, along with Rich 500. So I think Ghost potentially has either stepped down for the rest of the season or he's missing this race. I'm not sure which one.
I'm unsure. I think he is being replaced by J. Luke, but I will confirm that. But absolutely great to see J. Luke back in One Hub. Raced alongside of him myself a couple of times. Very, very hard racer, but very, very fair and a very nice guy. So great to see him back here at One Hub.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, a driver that I'm expecting to be towards the top end of the field as well in J. Luke. Giving some hassle to the Scuderia Ferrari lads in Leroy and Quinn, who of course this season have been the pair in the beat, I'd say, so far.
Yes, definitely. And of course, this is Leroy's home track as well. So I'm sure he's going to be extra keen to have a good result this evening. Guest's home track in the Kick Sauber as well. But they're sitting very nice in the constructors, the Ferraris at the minute, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, in the McLarens, you got J.R. Mason and Jamie. In the McLarens, in the Aston Martins, we've got Skrillex and Funky. The Alpines, Salu and Joe B. In the Williams, we've got Proverb and Trash Panda. Then, of course, in the RBs, we have Cowboy and the previous race winner around here in the old P3 days in Mathis. So let's see if the Swede can get himself onto the top step of the podium, as he did last time that we came here in One Hub. In the Saubers, we have Anthony and Geist. And then, of course, in the Haas, we have Kenzie and Papa Squanch. And goal, obviously qualifying is currently underway, but before we head to the action out on track, let's have a look at the standings going into tonight. As I have the P1 standings up there, that is not what we want, but there we go. The P2 standings, it is Jess leading the way in the Drivers' Championship, 42 points for Jess. Rich 500 in second place on 41, 1 point separating the top two, Cole.
Brilliant performance by Jess at Qatar. The best I have ever seen her drive in any occasion. She was lightning. She was doing the right strategy. She was getting good overtakes and leading the championship by a point from Rich. With Joe there, you can see on 34 points in third place. So it's going to be tough for Jess to keep this championship lead, but she is very consistent. So don't rule it out that she'll extend her lead tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, as you mentioned there, Joe in third place. Quinn in fourth. Had a bit of a shaky time in Qatar. Both Joe and Quinn, for that matter, both having a bit of a shaky time in Qatar. Cowboy up into fifth now on 29 points. 28 points for Funky now in sixth. Proverb in seventh on 26 points. 25 points for Jamie. Leroy on 22 points. Of course, he missed the race last time out. So there was no points gained for him last week, but he is back here tonight. Papa Squanch rounding out the top 10 on 22 points, same as Leroy. And then Catherine, of course, missed the first race. She's climbed herself up to 11th on 18 points. 16 points for JR Mason in 12th. Salu looking to try to convert his fantastic qualifying pace into a race result. He's done it in 13th on 11 points. 9 points for Squirts in 14th. Ghost, I believe, has retired from the season. Of course, 5 points for him in 15th place. Matisse on 4 points. Big opportunity for him to get himself up the order. And Geese, the last of the points paying positions. He is there in 17th place. Everyone else yet to score a point. Of course, is J. Luke, Anthony, Kenzie, and of course Trash Panda, who is on -3 points call.
Yeah, so just a reminder, the reason why Trash Panda is on -3, if the stewards ask you for footage and you fail to supply it, then the stewards will dock you 3 points. So that is why Trash Panda is on -3. And news from qualifying, Mike, Trash Panda has retired from the race. So he will be starting at the back.
Yep, and one thing that we also got to keep an eye on, Cole, and there has been a change at the top in terms of the constructors. The Red Bull Racing team currently lead the Constructors' Championships on 60 points, 5 points ahead of the Scuderia Ferraris, and then you got the Mercedes in third on 46 points. It's looking very, very familiar with the top three teams, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? It's really strange, like replicating the real Formula One. Just McLaren is the outlier, really, but they're still on 41 points. You know, they're not far off the top themselves. But yeah, so with Jess and Catherine in that Red Bull, you know, consistently scoring points, you know, it's going to be very difficult for the likes of the Ferrari team and the Mercedes to keep on top of them. Unfortunately, Catherine, to be blunt, threw away a race victory last week with a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So let's hope nothing like that will occur tonight, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, as you mentioned there, McLaren in fifth with 41 points, 45 points for the Alpines in fourth place. Aston Martin currently in sixth on 37 points, 33 points for the Visa Cash App RB F1 team. They're in seventh place. Eighth place is the Williams Racing team on 23 points, 22 points for the Haas F1 team in ninth. And then, of course, we got the Kick Saubers. They're at the back of the field. They're on 2 points. And Cole, without further ado, should we head into the action here in qualifying? Because we got about 11 minutes remaining in the session.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's see who is heading the lead at this moment.
Yeah, and right now it looks like Rich 500 is the man currently out on top. We're going to go on board with, I believe, yeah, Papa Squanch is on the lap, so we're going to go on board with Papa Squanch coming through the first sector split. In fact, no, he's not on a flying lap. I thought he was on a flying lap, but I was mistaken. But Rich 500 is on a flying lap as he's coming through the first sector now, Cole.
Yeah, so you can see now, just going around the bank corner now, as he heads down here, flat out now. Just small movements of the wheel, make sure you don't scrub too much speed off. I love this corner, Mike. So quick, especially in qualifying. This section is so fast. Make sure you don't lock the inside here. Rich does a little bit, but it doesn't harm him too much. keeps it nice and smooth, down to third gear, quickly back up into fourth, opens the DRS as he heads to this final, quite clumsy chicane, and he is just under a tenth up on his best. Good exit as we head to the final corner, slightly banked, so it will give you lots of grip as we head round the easy flat final corner with just 10% ERS left. Is it an improvement? Yes, it is. 9.329, 6/10 quicker than Salo in P2.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic lap time put on the board already from Rich. There we've got JR Mason marginally down in the middle sector, was up in the first sector, so looking to find some time in the final sector now is the McLaren. Of course, JR Mason, if I remember correctly, has had some very good qualifying performance this year in the past, so don't rule JR Mason out of a good qualifying result here.
No, but he actually aborts that lap. He goes, sod it, that wasn't any good, so he will box. But don't forget, the drivers can choose the softer tyre allocation here to get the 4 softs, and it won't affect the race because we do have the lobby restart. So Mason trying to maximise his time on track and backs out of that, sitting currently in 7th place, Mike.
Yep, currently in 7th place, of course only 9 thousandths of a second behind Joe B, so very close between those two. And with 8.5 minutes to go remaining in the session, there's opportunities here for both Joe and JR Mason to improve on their lap time, so maybe find a little bit further up the order. I'm not going to lie, Cole, Salu there on a 9.5. He's closed the gap. We got Leroy who has improved on his lap time. He's on a 9.8. Papa Squanch on a 9.9 as well. I do think that we're gonna need to be seeing some big lap times coming through from Jay Luke and the likes that are currently still in the 10s if they want any hope of taking a potential pole position here.
Yeah, 100%, Mike. I mean, there's a couple of drivers who are not going to be happy where they are at this moment in time. Quinn in 10th, Jess in 12th, Proverb in 13th after his tremendous maiden victory for One Hub last time out. Matthias in 14th on his favourite track. He will be wanting to improve. And Catherine there in 15th as well. So there's going to be a lot of drivers wanting to improve their lap times, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. As Jay Luke's about to get his lap underway, and we're going to be seeing what the Mercedes driver can do. Of course, Cole, coming in tonight, we have a few grid penalties to be applied. Of course, Trash Panda has retired from the session in last, but he came in tonight with a 3-place grid penalty, carried over from the previous week, as he was supposed to have it for Qatar, but unfortunately was not able to drive last week, so he's serving it tonight. And then of course we got Quinn taking the engine penalty here at round number 4. He's got a 10-place grid drop. Yes,
Mike, a question. I was very surprised to see Quinn take the 10-place grid penalty here at Netherlands, knowing how difficult it is to overtake. Do you think that's a strategy area there, a Ferrari driver?
Potentially, yeah, because for me personally, like, if I'm taking a grid penalty, I want it to be at a track where I can kind of make that up, whether it be, as Jay Luke improves it, to nearly 3/10 that up in the P4 for him. But yeah, in terms of like where, if it was me, I'd be taking it at a track like Vegas, or a track like China, like where you have the ability of making those overtakes matter. Hell, Australia, a good place to potentially take one as well, considering the fact that there is 4 DRS zones there now, so overtaking opportunities are plentiful.
Yeah, exactly. Quinn did improve his lap time, but still only in 13th place for the Ferrari driver. J-Luke, like you said, Mike, up into 4th place at the minute. Leroy there puts the Ferrari up into 5th place. Mason there has improved. He's in 6th on a 10.097. Catherine up into P8. Much better lap time from the Red Bull driver there with a 10.2.
Yeah, currently on board with Joe as he comes to the middle sector split, and he's over 2 tenths up as Rich improves again. It's a 9.2 for Rich 500, and this is absolutely fantastic from Rich. As I'm coming on board with Joe, coming through the penultimate corner now into the final corner. DRS wide open on the ERS as well. He's gonna run out of deployment, I think, before the line, but he just about has enough, and he's going to improve by nearly 3 tenths to go up into P6 ahead of JR Mason.
Yeah, that's a good lap from Joe. To be honest, I'm very, very surprised to see so many of the drivers in the 9s. Just shows how competitive this grid is. You know, we got 6 drivers that there in the 1-minute 9s, with Mason just over 1/10 shy. So the standard and the pace shown by the drivers tonight is very high.
Absolutely, yes. I believe everyone, Popovich just started his lap, and of course Popovich going to be looking to replicate a fantastic result that he had last time out in Qatar, and if he can go back to back tonight, what's that going to do for the confidence for Popovich?
Oh, it's going to be huge. I mean, he's just transferred to wheel as well. So that would have given him confidence that he is getting used to the wheel. But I was so pleased for Provo to win that race last week. He is actually a former champion at One Hub, but when he won the championship, he never actually managed a victory. So he was just consistently on the podium, never managed to get first place, but did manage to win the title. So he's broken that off his back now, and I'm sure that'll give him a lot of confidence. Let's see what this lap can do as he heads into the final corner. Nails it. He's got plenty of ERS to use now on this main straight as they cross the line. What's the lap time going to be? Just 6 thousandths slower, so consistent there for Prover, but a bit of a struggle for him as he's down in 15th.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, someone struggling also at the moment in qualifying is Jess, the championship leader, down in 14th place, and her nearest championship rival in Rich, currently on provisional pole position. Now, both of them were called into the drivers' press conference, and now for the rivalries heading into tonight, the question was put to both of them. You both find yourselves in first and second in the championship. Are you surprised to be in the position, and do you think you can keep the form up for the rest of the season? Rich saying, after my mistakes in Saudi and with our drivers showing great speed, taking wins, I'm happy to end up just 1 point off of Jess in the lead. It seems that consistently scoring good points each week and not necessarily winning races is the key this season. I've managed to do relatively well over 1 lap so far, but my race pace and strategy is where I'm lacking, especially compared to Jess. And she has performed fantastically well during the races, where she catches and overtakes me from where I have started on the grid. I've seen a lot of Red Bull on track so far this season, and I've enjoyed racing with Jess, and I hope our battles continue for the rest of the season. So Rich here obviously showing the respect now for Jess's race pace and that, but Rich knows that's an area which he needs to improve over the course of the season.
Yeah, that's right. I know he made a mistake in one of the races by forgetting to load his setter,
Saudi,
and that really hurt him as well. So it's things like that he's going to have to cut out, really. But as we head now into the latter stages of qualifying, Rich still out on top. Who have we got, Mike, that's about to set a lap? Mason is a 10th up. Is he going to get in the 9s? Yes, he is, up into 6th place, making it 7 drivers in the 9s, Mike.
Yep, 7 drivers in the 9s. We've got both of the Ferraris on their quick laps right now. We've got Jess on a quick lap as well. I'm currently on board with our championship leader, who also, likewise in the rivalries, has responded to the press questions and that, so we'll get onto that in just a moment's time. But we got both the Ferraris ahead of Jess, looking to improve on their lap times. So I believe it is Quinn potentially first one up, but Jess 2 attempts up in the middle sector. Brilliant now from Jess in an attempt to get herself into the top 10. As the checker flag has fallen in the session, both of the Ferraris just a little bit too much of the inside curve there for the Red Bull. As we come through the final corner, we're going to see improvements come through from Jess, but it's only improved by 1 position, as we got both of the Aston Martins coming to the line. We've got J. Luke into the pits. We got Nadias there, just improving up into 12th. Probably on 8 validated, and there is Rich 500 improving on his lap time, going even further ahead of the rest of the field. Salu unable to get the lap time in the end for him. Joe has unfortunately validated. Catherine 2 attempts up in the middle sector, coming through the final corner now, and this could be a big climb for the Red Bull driver. She comes to the line right now. Oh, it's P8, but look at that, it's a 1 minute 10 flat.
10 flat, you don't see that very often, do you? That's a great lap actually for Catherine there. Just shy of the 9s. So who have we got left? We got Proverb, he backs out, he's in the pit lane. Mike, that is our grid for tonight's race.
Yeah, absolutely, and Quinn of course serving that engine penalty means he will drop 10 places down. I believe he'll still be ahead of Trash Panda, because I believe Trash Panda's 3-place grid penalty would still put him 1 place behind Quinn if there was more than 20 drivers in the grid, so we would have to wait and see there. But Quinn and Trash Panda both going to be starting from the back. Jess, the championship leader, going to be starting from P13 on the grid call, and a lot of work for her to do, as her championship rival in Rich 500 is all the way on pole position.
Yeah, that's not the qualifying session that Jess would have wanted, especially around a circuit that is so difficult to overtake. But Rich there takes pole with a 1.9.9. Then we have Papa Squanch on the front row. Then we have Salo, J. Luke, Leroy finishes out the top 5. Mason in 6th, Joe in 7th. Then we have Catherine, Funky, Quinn, Proverb, Matthias, Skrillex, 14th for Jess, 15th for Cowboy, 16th for Guest, 17th for Kenzie, and at the back, Trash Panda in 18th place.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cole, obviously we went through what Rich had to say about the battle so far with Jess. Now we would like to see what Jess has got to say with regards to the battles with Rich. Jess coming through saying that very surprised to be in the position, that's for certain. The first season on this game, I had a lot going on outside of One Hub, so this season I have the best chance to do better than I did last season. Top 10 was my aim at the start of the season, so to be sitting first in the championship feels incredible. I hope to keep this form up, but we have some really talented drivers which are close to myself and Rich in the standings, as well as drivers who are front runners pace material but haven't had the luck yet. And then this is in bold. Stuff I learned whilst training for the women's esports final last year has really helped too, as I feel like I can attack and use the curbs more, as well as experimenting with different lines. It feels like I'm getting better with every race I do now, and I am learning a lot as I go. She did say that she's been impressed with Rich's 500's form this season. Having a driver like him in P2 is helping Jess improve on her own pace, as I want to be able to beat the best. He is so quick in qualifying, so my main goal for the rest of the season is to try and get my strategies nailed in races and have that little edge on him there, as I feel like my race pace is better. I hope we can continue the rivalry for the rest of the season, but I know that there are some other drivers who can close up for sure. Now, honestly, over the tail of the course of the season, Cole, it has literally been, as what both Jess and Rich have said. I mean, Rich, incredible qualifying pace, hasn't been able to convert it in terms of the race pace yet to take home race victories and everything. Jess, maybe not topping the times in terms of qualifying, but strategy and race pace leads her to always being up within the shout at the podiums at the end of the race. And then you got drivers like, Salu, for example, who is incredibly quick, but hasn't been able to show that in the races yet in terms of the point scoring position, because it's something that ends up putting him towards the back. So he's not yet had the luck of the green, so we say.
Yeah, I think you're right. Rich's pace in qualifying definitely hasn't translated to the pace that he's shown in the race. But, is that a little bit of getting used to it again, maybe? And that will come true now as we go later on into the season. Just a bit of inside information for everyone. So obviously, as you know, Jess is the owner of OneHub. I'm not going to repeat exactly what she said in the management chat regarding the qualifying session, because we're nowhere near the watershed. But she said, "Oh my, am I slow around here?" So Jess not happy with her pace around this track at the minute. But Mike, we have some weather to contend with tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And that weather is going to make things very, very interesting. Of course, it will be starting in wet conditions. However, it will go dry over the course of the race. So it becomes that age-old dilemma, Cole. Do you opt for a strategy that will help you more in the wet, or do you go for one that will help you more in the dry?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for the drivers. I mean, if some drivers are finding that they cannot stop spinning in the rain, then they might feel as though they're forced into a better, a more higher downforce strategy for basically not to DNF. So some other drivers will say, sod it, I'll suffer the rain as it is, but I'll make sure that I've got a nice fast car for when it dries up. And it's going to be all about timing the pit stop, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the driver that I'm going to be very keeping my eye on, of course, tonight is, of course, the guy that qualified in P4. And that was, of course, Jay Luke, of course, making his return to OneHub here tonight. And, of course, he was the driver that was called into the driver's press conference call. And the question was put to him, dude, welcome back to OneHub. You joined us missing the first 3 rounds. Do you think it's going to take some time to get up to speed? Or are you planning to get amongst the top runners and making a dash for the top spot? Jay Luke responds saying, it's good to be back. It's definitely going to take some time to get into the swing of things with the new game and getting back into racing. But I would like to think I compete near the top in the races to come. So Jay Luke, I mean, we've raced him many times in the past, Cole. We know what he's capable of, and once he gets back into the swing of things, he's definitely going to be a front runner, that is for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. Class act, Jay Luke, without a shadow of a doubt. It is, I know he hasn't played much of this game, so it's going to take him a while to get used to it, but I was spectating the practice session that was going on earlier this afternoon, and showing some good pace. Hasn't lost any of his racecraft. Always very good racecraft from Jay Luke. He knows how to overtake. He knows when not to as well, importantly. Don't rule out a podium tonight for Jay Luke. I think he's got a really good chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, before we head back to the action out on track again, we would like to say a massive thank you to our sponsors and partners here at OneHub Racing. Of course, to Next Level Racing. Of course, to Pure Sim Gear as well. Of course, most combined fastest lap and pole positions will get a set of either sim racing gloves or socks. To Vespertine as well, of course, always an absolute pleasure working with Vespertine. And of course, they are involved in the Going Gets Tough award, where of course the winner will be getting the Race the Dream, Live the Dream t-shirt right there. And then, of course, massive shout out to Sim Grid as well, who, of course, supplied the standings, of which we saw earlier on call when we was going through the standings. And then, of course, last but not least, the Mental Health Foundation. Guys, you should never suffer in silence. If you do need to talk to someone, make sure you talk to someone. It is very important, and there's always people that will listen. So never suffer in silence.
Yeah, well said, Mike. Well said, mate. So, drivers now will be thinking about their strategy, Mike. Thinking about what they're planning on doing now. They'll be sitting in the lobby, relaxing before the start of the race. We know it's going to start off dry. So, sorry, start off wet. So here at One Hub, we do a weather system. We have various weather scenarios that change throughout the race. We then randomly select one with a wheel, which would have been done this morning. And that is then selected, and that particular option is then crossed off. So our option that we've got selected for this evening is a wet start to the race, but then it clears up and it goes drier. So it's starting off wet, then it's cloudy, and then it'll be clear towards the end of the race. So it's all going to be about, Mike, keeping out of trouble in the first stint on the inters.
Yeah, absolutely. On the intermediates, you're going to have to be very cautious, very careful as you navigate the first couple of laps, especially with everyone bunched up together as they will be at the start of the race. After that, you just got to settle yourself into a rhythm, get yourself into a bit of Zen mode, I want to say, because that's kind of what you need. You need that Zen mode to really get yourself going in the right direction, and then as the rain begins to stop, is then going to be thinking, okay, best lap time to pit. How quickly is this track going to dry out? When can I take advantage of this pit stop? When can I gain the most time by pitting? That is what the drivers are going to be thinking about.
Yeah, exactly. If you pit too early, you're going to lose a ton of time on those slicks before the dry line appears, and if you pit too late, you're going to lose a ton of time while everyone else is on the right tyre. So it's going to be really important and very difficult for these drivers to time it right. Will they wait, Mike, until the DRS is enabled? Or will that be too late? This is the things that the drivers are going to have to think about now as they head towards the end of the first stint.
Yeah, I mean, it's always one of those quandaries, Cole. I mean, we've been in, like, both yourself and myself, we've been in situations where it has been changeable conditions. In the past, I know I do this, and I know that you've done this as well. Having that telemetry app on your tires, checking for the moment those inters really begin to overheat and start to be a little bit questionable with the temperatures. That's usually a good sign that you are in the crossover period. And then, of course, when the DRS is activated, that's when you know absolutely that it is dry tire conditions now. And for the drivers out there, I can imagine that as soon as the rain begins to go quite light, we're going to see potentially a little bit of a change now to look at their tire temperatures, so they can monitor that lap after lap. And then, of course, it's about timing it right, because you can gain a bit of time by pitting a bit earlier than what the DRS being activated will get you. But you could also lose a bit of time if you do that. Like, I mean, sometimes the DRS will get activated and it's still marginally slower than the intermediates.
Yeah, exactly that. It's going to be very tricky for these drivers to time it to perfection. Maybe some of these drivers might take a risk. If we got a safety car under the wet weather conditions, some drivers might say, well, sod it, I'm going to box for another set of inters, get one of my mandatory pit stops out of the way, and then switch to hards for the rest of the race. Just a reminder that we do, like Formula One will, Mike, at Monaco this season, will have mandatory 2 stops. Unlike F1, we have mandatory 2 stops for each and every single race that we do, except the sprint races. So this is where it's going to be Interesting, Mike, to see the strategy. You know, are we going to see a soft run at any point? Is it going to be mediums? Is it going to be hards? We won't have long to wait, Mike.
No, absolutely not. And I think it's going to be a very intriguing call. Of course, the tyres that we are available here tonight, of course, the C3 soft tyres, C2 medium, C1 hard compound tyres, the intermediate and the wet tyres all available. And to me, Cole, I'm looking at that weather out there. I do think it'll be indoors, but it does look quite marginal between indoors and wet out there, doesn't it?
I was thinking that, Mike. I was looking at it myself going, that looks heavy. Don't forget, we do put it on approximate, so it's not like set. So, you know, with approximate, it could be heavier than what you've actually practiced before. It could be a bit lighter. When it dries up, will be different. So, but yeah, I think you're right, Mike. That looks to me borderline wet weather conditions.
Yeah, and of course, if it is borderline wet weather conditions, even more caution is going to be needed by everyone on the opening few laps as you begin to remove some of the spray, some of the standing water on track by just driving around and clearing the track naturally. And it's gonna be very interesting. Cole, I'm not gonna lie, I do think that we could be seeing a few front wings going off in turn one, just because of the nature of turn number one. Of course, is a swooping left-hander, very easy to go side by side there, but also very easy to make a little bit of contact. And if someone gets a little tangled up with someone, that's going to slow down the people behind. And sometimes in the wet, you can't really see because of the spray coming off of the cars, and that could be a bit of wing damage right there.
Exactly that, which is why Rich is going to be so keen to get to that first corner in first place so he doesn't have to deal with any of the spray from any of the other cars. It'll be a big advantage for him if he can. But I think it's Papa Squanch in second place. He's going to be extra keen to have a go down the inside into turn one to get that clear air and clear advantage. But that we will have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Carl, the pre-race interviews were, of course, out. And the first question we put to everyone, welcome to round number 4 here in the Netherlands. How are we feeling heading into this one? Kenzie responded saying, feeling more at ease now I have a race finish under my belt. Zandvoort is a difficult track at the best of times. With it being a narrow circuit, we just have to see what happens when race day comes about. Catherine saying, not as good as last week. I don't think my pace is there. This season includes a lot of tracks I haven't raced at before. Catherine, I feel your pain on that one. But as I've not raced for a few years, so I need to get used to them. Hopefully, I can get a decent quality on board and get some points after. That's all I'm after. And then, of course, Funky saying he has mixed feelings about tonight. As well, J. Luke said he's feeling good. It's a great track with a lot of history in the sport, so hopefully should be a good show for everyone watching. Skrillex saying he doesn't know, to be honest. Cowboy saying not so good. And that is the pre-race interviews that we have at the moment. Of course, the second question that we put the drivers out there is, of course... Oh, sorry, no, we do have one more from Jess. Jess saying one of her worst tracks in the calendar, but she's determined to score as many points as possible this season. And the second question we put to the drivers, of course, a very tight, twisty circuit, which can throw up all sorts of different strategies, especially if the weather decides to throw a surprise or two. Will you be putting the practice in to ensure maximum potential for the points? We got Salu saying practice is the name of the game on a track like this, where consistent lap times will be key in race trim. And there are some choices for lines around this track, unlike Qatar, so should be an interesting one. And it is one of those tracks where you can take different lines around your call. So, I mean, Salu definitely spot on with that one.
Yeah, he's dead right, especially the banking. As we got J-Luke nearly going for a spin on the formation lap. But the banking in turn, is it 3 or 4, I think? There's multiple lines there, really. where you can go a bit faster in or a bit faster on the exit. So it's definitely some parts of this track where you can try and gain a little bit of time and a little bit of track position almost on the driver ahead. But it's going to be very difficult in these early conditions, Mike, because this is quite wet. It does seem intermediates at this stage, but it's going to be very tricky for the drivers.
Yeah, and you can just see that it is in there. You can see the odd puddle here and there beginning to form as well, which obviously is going to take a lap or two to displace. And if you're Salu or J. Cole, you're starting directly behind the top two. All you two are going to be thinking about is getting the best launch possible to try to get into a bit of clear air just so you can see you're breaking in towards turn number 1.
Yeah, exactly that. Drivers are going to, they're not going to be really sure where they're going to brake because, they haven't done much. Drivers don't do that much wet weather practice. So, like you said earlier, Mike, don't be surprised if we see a few front wings go missing.
Yep, as we are getting ready to go to those 5 red lights, and here they are, 3, 4, 5 red lights gets underway here in Zandvoort. Lights are out and we are underway, and it looks like a fantastic start from Rich, Papa Squanch and Salu. J. Luke barking down, getting overtaken by Leroy in towards turn number 1, side-by-side action in behind, 2x2 like Noah's Ark, as the flood begins to form out in Zandvoort.
Yeah, seems like a good clean start from the drivers. They've all seemed to have made it around the first couple of corners nice and safe. Rich there in that really important first place with no spray. So he's done exactly what he needs to do. Papa Squanch there right behind him in second place.
Yeah, as Joe able to get the overtake done on J. Luke there. Of course, J. Luke returning here tonight. Fantastic qualifying as we got a spin in the back, and I think that's Trash Panda down at the back. Of course, Quinn starting from towards the back end. He's up in the 13th already, so he's making swift progress. Jess down to 16th, so unfortunate for Jess early on. Catherine just holding inside the top 10 for this moment in time as we see the RB switching positions as Cowboy and Mattis, they're trading positions. A former race winner around here is Mattis, so be prepared. Oh, as he hits the back of his teammate, and that potentially could be a bit of wing damage. I don't think I saw anything visually fall off the front of that RB, but let's have a little look. Nah, he looks fine. He looks fine.
Yeah, I think he's good. Oh, it's such a shame for Trash Panda, actually, because he'd gained 5 positions at the start. So he had an absolutely stonking start. We got a driver in the pit lane already. It's Quinn. Now, has Quinn picked up front wing damage? Let's have a look. Or is he Yes, he's lost his front wing. So his end plate is completely gone. So a disastrous start for the Ferrari driver there. Trash Panda has also damaged his front wing, but he has decided to continue on.
Yeah, continuing on is Trash Panda. Quinn into the pit lane, and honestly, Quinn getting rid of the first pit stop already. He's out there by himself now. He can just focus on his lap times and just be consistent with his lap times. He can get his head down. Maybe he can jump a few positions once everyone else make their pit stop, and he'll be able to stretch his inters all the way out to the dry period, where he'll be able to make that one pit stop that he needs under a set of dries to go to the end. So it might not be such a bad thing for Quinn at this moment in time, especially if, as the rain ends, there's a safety car or a virtual safety car.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually, Mike. So this could work in his favour. But look how close it is at the front. Just half a second. Don't forget, we got no DRS at this stage, so it's going to have to simply be done under braking. Rich there takes... Oh, and we got a position change. Leroy down the inside of Salo. Oh, they're side by side, Mike. Oh, big slide from Leroy.
Leroy just a little bit too much on that inside curve, and that is one of the dangers around this track, Cole. The curves can be quite unforgiving, and what Leroy is currently in is what I like to call a Alpine sandwich. As he is in the middle of both Salu and Joe right now, and he needs to break that sandwich and try to get ahead of Salu as quickly as possible.
Yeah, he's not going to be liking that position. Leroy here at his home race, don't forget, so he's going to be extra keen to have a good race. There's a driver there who is struggling in these wet conditions, Mike, and that is Mason. He is 3 seconds off the back of J-Luke, and there is a bit of a train forming. We've had trolley trains, we've got Mason train at the minute, so he is not enjoying these wet conditions at the moment, Mike.
Yeah, as he goes a little bit deep into the chicane, which is not ideal for Mason here. It's going to put him under a bit of pressure from Funky down in towards turn number 1. Back up towards the front though. Papa Squanch in the slipstream of Rich 500. We could be seeing a change for the race lead here, Cole, as he is closing in, but he's not going for the move at this moment in time, as Leroy's into the pits. Is there damage on that Scuderia Ferrari? No, there is not, but maybe what he's thinking is exactly what we said earlier, that potentially with Quinn getting that pit stop out of the way nice and early while it is hinders, and then just chucking on a set of the dries at the end, serving your second pit stop. Maybe that's what they're thinking. Maybe that is the Ferrari strategy here tonight. Pit early, get clear, and just put in some consistent lap times.
Well, I hope the Ferrari strategy in one hub is better than the F1 strategy, because usually they have Ronald McDonald do their strategies, which is useless. But this could be a stroke of genius, or it could go completely pear-shaped. And Mike, we're not really going to find out until later on in this race. But he's gonna catch up Kenzie rather quickly. He has got fresh inters, don't forget, so he will have a little bit more pace. But we're going to have to wait till later on in the race. But at the minute, 16th and 18th for Ferraris, that's not where they want to be.
No, absolutely not, as JR Mason has been overtaken by both of the Astons. Meanwhile, Papa Squanch, he's got, look, he's down the inside. Papa Squanch on Rich, down the inside towards turn number 1, and is going to be the position gained for the Haas. Rich holding on to P2, and right now, if I'm Rich, I'm quite happy with my race pace so far, because we've broken away a second from Salu, and you're just holding on to a very strong position for the change in the conditions, which should be coming at some point. I think, honestly, I think in the next 6 laps, I want to say.
Yeah, the rain is definitely easing. So I've been on board a couple of drivers, and the rain is it's still raining. Virtual safety car. Yeah, that's so Geese. What is that for, Mike?
That is Geese says at the moment. Of course, Leroy's at the line back through into P14, and that has triggered the virtual safety car. No call for the full course safety car here, so just a VSC, just to honestly reset the mindset for the drivers out there. It's going to be very interesting, as I think the rain has stopped, Cole.
Yeah, it has. The rain has stopped. Now, is this our driver's going to gamble under this virtual safety car for a shorter pit stop than what would have been in the race conditions to go on to the medium or the soft tyre? Oh, we got 2 drive-throughs. I bet we might have 3. Let me just double check. Yes, there are 3 drive-thrus in this race. We've got Joe up there in 4th place, Catherine in 10th, and Trash Panda in 17th. Oh, well, Catherine, after her mistake last week with getting a time penalty in the pit lane, will be furious. And that she's changing her front wing. So a nightmare start to this race for Catherine, as Guest gets a 10-second time penalty in the pit lane, Mike, as he changes his front wing.
And do you want to know what's even worse? They've just immediately changed Catherine's tyres, so she hasn't actually served the drive-through yet.
So she's going to have to come back in the pit lane again to serve the drive-through then, Mike. Disaster for the Red Bull driver. But it's a long way to go. Nothing is over yet.
No, absolutely not. Papa Squancho absolutely flying out in front now since overtaking. Rich has built that gap, 1.1 the gap. Rich though falling back into the clutches of Salu. And how important is this race for the Alpine? Of course, has shown incredible pace so far this season, Cole. Has not been able to convert it into meaningful point scoring positions. And you're seeing Papa Squanch into the pit lane. as Salu, a new fastest lap of the race. Honestly, I think this is very important for Salu to have a good result here.
It really is. He's had a disaster start to the season. There's Papa Squanch going on the medium tyres. So he's the first to switch. He's the first driver to switch to the dry compound tyre, sorry. So I will keep an eye on his lap times. Mason is also in the pit lane, so he's decided now's the time to go on medium tyres. Is this too early, Mike, or have they timed it right?
I think it might be a little bit too early. Look at the gap between Quinn and Catherine. That gap was increasing. And I think Quinn into the pit lane, chucking on a set of the hard compound tyres. Of course, he can go to the end of the race on these now. But I'm looking at the gaps. As Leroy's had a moment and he's off the circuit. He's had a moment at the top of the hill through turn number 7. A heartbreak for the Scuderia Ferrari. But what I was going to say, Cole, look at that gap between Papa Squanch and Joe B now. The gap is increasing.
Yes, it is increasing, which tells us that it's too early for these medium tyres. But, and we got, I think Quinn's made a mistake on the hard tyre. So Quinn there on the hard tyres, which is going to be even more difficult in these conditions. But J. Luke now down to 4th, but he's in the pit lane, Mike. He's on intermediate tyres. I think he's forgotten to change his strategy. I know J. Luke did this in the practice session. So you have to tell, so you're on your MFD, you have to tell the team what tyre you want, and they have. I think J. Luke's forgotten, so he's boxed onto a brand new set of inters, Mike.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, it's one of them ones where obviously for J. Luke and it's just a lot of time out of the racing scene. Obviously, making his return here tonight is definitely going to be a learning experience for him. But the one thing that I can say is that his tyres are still quick enough to pull away from Papa Squanch here. And basically, what he's going to be able to do is when he makes a pit stop now, he can chuck on a set of hard to go to the end of the race. Like, he hasn't got to worry now. Whereas Papa Squanch does have to make another pit stop. So it's not as bad as initially thought as Salu's into the pit lane. I wonder, Cole, who is listening to the stream right now, of course, when it comes to the gaps and everything. And it's a safety car. Now everyone should be in for the bits.
So this is going to help the... No, I'm just trying to work out what caused that safety car. But I'm trying to work out who's that going to help. Is that going to help the intermediate runners? They will have to deal with a delta. So I think this is... Rich has stayed out. So this is going to really hurt Rich. Rich is going to be on the wrong tyre and pretty much near the back.
No, the safety car.
Safety car, yeah. So Salo has overtaken the safety car, so he can go up to full racing speed. Mason now, he's jumped back up to 9th with the pit stops. J. Luke in 7th place. Jess, they're up in 8th place. That's a good recovery there from Jess, having started all the way down in 14th place. But the safety car's still waiting. I see it on the side of the track, just at the exit of the banked corner in Sector 1. But I'm a bit confused, Mike, as to why it came out, to be honest. No one DNF'd. I don't see any damage. But hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully it's not a glitch.
Yeah, hopefully not, as Rich now into the pit lane. And this is going to be incredibly infuriating for Salu, who thought he could maybe get an undercut on Rich. Of course, the safety car has potentially ruined that for him now. He just needs to hope that the Delta will help him out here, as I think Rich will still come out ahead as he's exiting the pit lane right now. You got Salu coming on the start-finish straight. It's going to be close between the pair. And we're going to see on board with Salu to see if we can get the jump on Rich. There's Rich on the right-hand side of your screen right there. And
this is going to be close.
Just about gets ahead and on a set of the soft compound tyres, Cole.
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't expecting the softs to make much of an appearance this evening. I And there's the safety car, so we're okay. That's good. He's picked up the race leader, so that's good news.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's run through the order while we're under this safety car. So there's Rich there on a brand new set of the soft compound tyre. Salo in second place. Skrillex there in third place on mediums as well as Salo. Papa Squanch in fourth, so he lost out big time pitting that early. So he went from the race lead down into fourth. Matthias there up in fifth place, so his poor qualifying performance, he's reignited his race, and he is up into fifth place. Joe then in sixth in the Alpine. J. Luke there in seventh place. Seventh place, easy for you to say. Jess in eighth, Mason in ninth, Kenzie in the top 10 there, so he'll be delighted with that. Funky in 11th, Leroy down in 12th place. Funky and Leroy on the hard tyres, same as Cowboy, same as Quinn, so they won't need to stop again. Proverb in 15th, Guest in 16th, Catherine down in 17th, having to serve that drive-through penalty, and Trash Panda in 18th place. But looking at the stops, so Mike, from 11th place down, they have all completed their mandatory 2 stops. I would say that the only drivers who are capable regarding their tyre on making it all the way to the end will be Funky, Leroy, Cowboy and Quinn on those hard tyres.
Yeah, as Kenzie's taking the opportunity to jump back into the pits, make his second pit stop, and this will be for a set of the hard compound tyres, that is for sure. And I mean, go. This is going to be incredibly interesting now, because you've got such a variation in terms of strategies. You've got the hard runners who are going to the end of the race. Right, they just need to make sure that their lap times are very consistent and that they can get to the end. You've got the guys on the set of the mediums that you can maybe get them to the end of the race, but they are going to be incredibly worn. Like, you're going to have to literally press them to get them to the end of the race. So we're definitely going to be seeing a pit stop from the medium runners. From the soft runner Rich, he has to absolutely bolt early on, chuck on a set of mediums, and then use the pace of the mediums to try and close back up, get a nice undercut on the likes of Salu, Skrillex, Papa Squanch, and hopefully he can close up to the back of the hard runners where he can make that overtake happen.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm curious to see now how Rich is going to do this race. So he's a bit of an outlier at the minute. So he's on the soft tyre, everyone else is on the mediums. He will have to box before them, but of course he will get the undercut, but he's not going to want to get stuck in traffic. So, this is going to be very difficult for the drivers. I think we're going to have another formation lap. Flipping, listen to me. Another lap under the safety car, Mike.
Yeah, I believe that's still waiting on Geese to close up to the back of the pack. Unfortunate for Catherine and Trash Panda, both of them a lap down in this race. Heartbreak for the pair of them. And honestly, I mean, if you're Catherine and Trash Panda, you're hoping a safety car comes out at some point later in this race, and then you want to avoid coming into the pits the same lap as all the leaders. You want to stay out so you can try to get back onto the lead lap, because that's your only hope of getting back into this race, because both Catherine and Trash are going to have to obviously gently move aside as we are back to racing conditions, as the blue flags will be out for them immediately. It's a heartbreak for both of them, being down towards the back and being a lap down in this race at lap 12.
Yes, and unfortunately with this game, you obviously in real Formula 1 you get an opportunity to unlap yourself under the safety car, which I actually disagree with, but it's a story for another day. And of course they can't unlap themselves, so it's going to be so difficult for Catherine to get any points in this race. The same as Trash Panda. They're simply going to have to pray that that there's incidents in the race that will promote them up the field. But we have got the safety car in this lap, Mike.
Yep, the safety car is in this lap, and Cole, I'm going to let you take us on the restart.
So we have Rich leading away on the soft tyres. How late is he going to leave it? You can see him there weaving, trying to get a bit of heat in the tyres. How late is he going to leave it? He doesn't want to go too soon because there's a chance that Salo can get in that slipstream. He's gone. He has gone as he the field away. A good restart there. Salo left a little bit for dead there. But Rich clearly going down. Skrillex having a go on Catherine. Gets the lap car done out the way. Skrillex heading now just about behind Salo. But it's a great restart from Rich, Mike.
Yeah, absolute great restart from Rich. He just caught Salo absolutely napping through the final corner. But this is the unfortunate side effect of what's called once a safety car happens, you do get yourself knocked out of a bit of a rhythm, and I think that's what's happened with Rich, because we're not seeing him pull away on those soft compound tyres. In fact, he's getting reeled back in by Salo, so maybe showcasing the soft tyres, maybe not the best race tyre to be on, and maybe he hasn't got them switched on yet. Salo though, putting the pressure on Skrillex, holding on to P3. He's got Papa Squanch in behind him. As Matt, a former race winner here, holding on to P5. He's got the returning driver, Jay Luke, in behind him. And then, of course, we got Joe just getting through on Catherine's lap car. Now, of course, Jess will be the next one up. And this will be a relatively simple overtake. And Cole, guess who's right next to each other on track once again?
Here we go again. Jess and Mason, they can't help it, can they? They have to be right next to each other. Every opportunity. There's Jess there lapping her teammate. Obviously, Catherine is obligated now to get out of the way of these drivers and not to impede them or put them off. So it's heartbreak for them. But Mason there holding his own a little bit. He is outside of DRS, but he will get it from Catherine. And Salo, I'm very surprised, Mike, that Salo is able to keep with Rich on these soft tyres.
Yeah, I think Rich might have now just got himself back in the rhythm. You've seen that gap begin to increase now between Rich and Salo, but it's one of those situations as Papa Squanch down the inside of Skrillex into the chicane, and his job done. Oh, and Mattis follows Papa Squanch through and says, "Thank you very much, mate. I'll take that position." And up into P4 goes Mattis. Incredible stuff. But yeah, what I was going to say is it seems like Rich now has got himself back into the rhythm, but the unfortunate thing now for Rich is the fact he couldn't get into the rhythm quick enough, as Mattis up in the P3, Jay Luke up in the P5 overtaking Skrillex, and Papa Squanch being overtaken by Mattis. But what I was going to say, with DRS now, Cole, it's going to be very difficult now for Rich to drop Salo out of DRS range, because he's just going to be able to hang in there now.
Yeah, sorry about Mark's connection. I will break it up a fair bit. Papa Squanch right behind Matthias. Matthias in good pace, but he has been dropped by the two. Salo right behind Rich. All these can have an opportunity to come back straight here. And Papa Squanch is definitely holding its field, Mike.
I am not gonna lie, mate. There's definitely some connection issue going on between us right now. As Papa Squanch completely sideways and off the track. That's going to allow Jay Luke to go through up in the P4. But Cole, I think there may be a connection issue going on between the pair of us right now. As I was.
You're good now, Mike. You're good now, mate. You're good now.
Oh, Skrillex into the wall. Skrillex into the wall.
Huge crash.
And Papa Squanch with wing damage as well. We was just on board with that. We saw it all happen as Papa Squanch with a bit of a jump up the road. So maybe there's something up with the lobby right now. Obviously, we're seeing a little bit of desync going on. On my end, I haven't dropped any frames to indicate that there is internet issues on my end thus far. Of course, let me know in the chat if the stream's gone all laggy and everything in the chat. Let me know. But yeah, it's one of them ones. What's it called? I mean, it's an unfortunate incident for both Skrillex and Papa Squanch. And Skrillex is literally now, honestly, he's the walking wounded right now out the track.
He is. It's going to be very, very uncomfortable for him. Oh, and Jess has got front wing damage, I see. So I don't know where that occurred, but Jess has got front wing damage as well. So is she going to be boxing at the end of this lap? This we'll have to wait and see.
As here goes,
oh, look at this! And this is great pace from Salo. Don't forget, he's on the medium tyre. Rich on the quicker soft compound tyre. And Salo has just put himself into an absolutely brilliant position. He's got a good 3-second lead over J-Luke, our nearest medium runner. And look at him pull away. I think the soft tyres are dead, Mike. I think they're dying.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And if I'm J-Luke or Mattis right now, I am just changing the strategy a little bit, and instead of having a set of softs towards the end, I'm thinking maybe it'd be more beneficial to be on a set of the mediums.
Yes, I think you're right. As Funky spins on these hard tyres, so the drivers are finding it really difficult at the moment. There's a lot of mistakes. We got a VSC now. Surely this is the perfect opportunity to change tyres here, Mike. What have we got? We got 19 laps to go. It's surely the perfect time to box. I'm pretty certain you could get medium tyres to last this long.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, Jess into the pits, no surprise there with the wing damage. Joe into the pits, Mason into the pit lane as well. Quinn up in the P6 on his hard compound tyres. Of course, he's made his 2 stops and possibly going to be going all the way to the end of the race. He has Catherine ahead, who of course is a lap down right now, and then Popper right in front of Catherine. Mata is doing a great job, but that 3-second time penalty is not going to help him. J-Luke on his return to One Hub up in the podium position, Paul. Now, at the start of the season, I mentioned that Rich and Ghost was a strong partnership. I honestly think Rich and J-Luke is an even stronger partnership.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a really, really strong partnership. But don't forget now, the drivers that pitted under that virtual safety car, they're going to have such a shorter pit stop that they're going to gain a hell of a lot. So those drivers who box, so that is Joe, Mason, Jess, Papa Squanch, Salo does the drive through and throws away his lead. He's going to be absolutely devastated with that. That's going to be heartbreaking. When's he boxed? No, he decides to wait another lap. And yet again, another crucial error from the Alpine driver, Mike.
Honestly, what has Salo got to do to catch a break? I mean, his pace is fantastic. He should be towards the front end in the championship. But there's moments like this where an unnecessary drive-through, an unnecessary 10-second time penalty in the pit lane, a unnecessary battling when you just need to settle down into the race and an instant happening. It's just one of those situations where Salo now has put himself on the back foot, and it's going to be very difficult for him to score big points in this race unless there's a late safety car and he can carve his way through the field. But right now, Cole, I'm looking at what's going on right now, and I'm thinking the man currently in P3 is the man who could go on to take a race victory here. The returning driver in J-Luke, because now Salo's essentially going to be 20 seconds behind after that drive-through. He's all over the back of Rich right now. Rich is not going to fight his teammate.
No, I don't think he will. He knows that J-Luke has missed a couple of races at the start, so he's only recently joined, so he's not really a championship contender, really. So Rich, a very experienced and wise driver, he's going to go, well, I'm not going to fight J-Luke that hard. If he wants to overtake me, then so be it. But I know Matthias has got a 3-second time penalty, but look at the pace Matthias has got. I thought he was going to have a go. He thinks better of it, thankfully.
Yeah, and of course, Matthias, a former race winner around here, it seems like obviously qualifying wasn't particularly great for him, but look at this in the race right now. He is up in lofty heights. By the way, just an update on Salo. He's done his drive-through penalty and he's come out down in 6th place behind Quinn, Proverb and Mattis. So there's an opportunity for Salo to maybe get himself a podium towards the end of the race. But he's got a lot of work to do.
He has got a lot of work to do. Don't forget, he's still yet to serve his drive. Oh, he has served it, has he?
He served it now.
Yeah. So, but he's still got to do his... He's right behind him. Yeah, down the inside. Rich doesn't fight too hard. And that is a change of lead with a Mercedes 1-2. Matthias there knocking on the door. He wants to have a bit of fun in this fight. Now, Quinn there, up in P4. Don't forget, he's on 14-lap old hards, but he's done both his pit stops, so he does not need to pit again. So he's sitting in quite a handy position at the minute. Salo has to, and that's going to hurt him.
Do you know who else has made 2 stops in this race so far? The race leader, J-Luke.
Wow, that I was not...
VSC.
We got a virtual safety car again. Now, this is the perfect moment now for Salo to gain a little bit of time back. He's not going to lose so much, so Rich will do his stop as well. But J-Luke, after having boxed for Inters twice at the start, unintentionally, find himself in the race lead.
Yeah, and if I'm Rich and Mattis right now, I'm into the pits and I'm putting on a second set of mediums to go to the end of the race, because you see the soft tyres are not the race tyre to be on. J-Luke's also into the pits. That means Rich is going to have to double stack with his teammate, and that's going to put him... Oh, Mattis, 10-second time penalty! I was going to say that's going to allow Mattis to jump Rich in this race, but heartbreaker for Mattis there, and he's chucked on a set of the soft tyres. Quinn into the lead of the race. He's sticking it out on those hards. Probably up into P2. And now, Cole, I think it is all in J-Luke's hands right now, because Rich is now effectively... He's got a lot of work to do to catch up to J-Luke due to the double stack. And he's also got Mattis, who's going to fight for position. And then he's got Funky, who's going to be fighting for position. Probably, I don't think... Obviously, he probably will make another pit stop at some point. And then you got Quinn, who's going to fight for position. So there's a lot of cars for Rich to get through if he's going to try to catch up to J-Luke, who's already pretty much on the back of Proverb.
Yeah, I mean, Quinn's going to be having terrible time come the end of the race on these hard compound tyres. He's going to find it really difficult. They've done 15 laps, same as Funky, 13 laps. With Matthias right behind him on fresh soft, so he's going to be dispatching that Aston Martin rather quickly, I would have thought. But Rich, they're down in 6th place at the minute. You know, he's still got a lot of work to do. Yes, he's got a couple of drivers ahead that are on older tyres, Mike, but still, with the pace that he's shown, going to be very difficult for him to catch up to the likes of J-Luke and Proverb.
Absolutely, and as Geese has lost the car in the final sector, down the order goes Geese. Is that going to trigger a full course safety car? No, it's not. Papa Squanch and Jess side by side through turn number 1, as Jess holding on to P9. And what a difference 23 laps can make, Cole. Papa Squanch and Salu were both up towards the front at the start of this race, and due to the obviously the change in terms of the weather and as well as the pit stops, they find themselves at the tail end of the punch-in.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how things can change so quickly? But Salo will be kicking himself. I mean, really speaking, he should be fighting for the championship lead. But he's languishing low down the points. It's such a shame for the Alpine driver. But still, we got 13 laps to go. Let's see what Salo can do. He is in the points. Don't forget, his top 12. Proverb's out. Proverb is out of the race. We've got a full safety car. Well, what on earth do you do now, Mike?
I mean, if you are... I mean, if you're Catherine, for example, stay out.
I have no idea. I've not a clue.
Stay out, Catherine. If you're Catherine, stay out. Don't pit. Let the leaders pit. if they're going to pit, just stay out, get yourself back onto the lead lap. Same with you, Trash Panda, don't pit, stay out. And if you're everyone else, I mean, I guess dealer's choice, like come into the pits or not. The thing is, I don't think Jay Luke will be in the pits. I don't think, I mean, Mattis potentially could jump into the pits. I mean,
this has just thrown the race wide open. Poor old Proverb having absolute belter. What have we got?
So we've got directly behind Rich, and I don't think Rich is going to pit, so I don't think she's going to be able to lap herself.
It's not quite enough. No, she's not. So poor Catherine, she's going to be still a lap down, which is a shame. Same with the 3 drivers behind. It's very rare that we actually get any lap cars in one hub. Like, very, very rare.
Oh, actually they're in. Catherine, stay out. Catherine's on the lead
Catherine
lap.
Stays out. Catherine is on the lead lap here. So she will be at the back, but on the lead lap. So hopefully they were listening to the stream, Mike, and listening to yourself of saying stay out, and it was the right decision. So she will now be on the lead lap. As Trash Panda gets a little bit too excited behind the safety car, and Jay Luke is in the pit lane. So he's now on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, same as Funky. So who have we got who stayed out? Matthias has stayed out. But don't forget, he's got the 10-second time penalty, hasn't he?
Yeah, Rich stayed out and is effectively in the net race lead right now. You got Joe B that stayed out in 7-lap old mediums. JR Mason stayed out in 7-lap old mediums. Quinn came into the pits, put on a fresh set of mediums. Jess has stayed out in 7-lap old mediums. Jay Lucas coming into the pits, fresh set of soft compound tyres. Funky on fresh set of softs. Salu stayed out on 3-lap old mediums. And Cole, we saw earlier in the race of how the mediums performed versus the soft tyres. I mean, I just don't see the soft tyres being able to last long enough to really give them an advantage by here. So I think Jay Luke, Funky, Papa Squancher might have potentially thrown away an opportunity of some big points by pitting.
I think so. I don't think those softs are going to last long enough to be that competitive, but you never know. You know, we've got a lot less fuel on board these cars now.
I don't know what's happened to Catherine's behind Mattis.
So she is.
She's still a lap down.
She's still a lap down, so she's going to have to be honest, get out of the way as soon as this race restarts, because you don't want to be a ghost car in amongst the pack. It's going to cause a lot of issues for the drivers, so hopefully she will concede and let everyone else pass her. Jess obviously will be in comms in the Red Bull chat with her, so hopefully she'll pass on that message so she doesn't cause too many issues. But so at the minute, so Matthias, don't forget, he's got 13 seconds of time penalties.
Yeah, and
if the race were to end now, Mike, he would be 11th. So he's not looking in a good way at all. Now, Lukey's in the chat saying if Matthias goes off track, she can overtake and maybe catch him up. So,
well, I think that's what's happened. In my opinion, I don't know what's happened. So I'm pretty sure Catherine was ahead of Matthias on track. Because she was directly behind J. Luke as J. Luke came into the pit. So I don't know how Catherine's ended up behind Mattis. Maybe she got off track and Mattis just driven past her. But safety car is in this lap call. We're going to be on board with Rich, who unfortunately has Catherine in between himself and Mattis here for the restart. So, I mean, for Rich, he needs to hope that Catherine has an on-point restart versus Mattis to allow himself to get a brilliant restart as well as we come to the start finish.
Oh, he's leaving it late.
Yeah, and now he's gone. And this is where we're going to see who is going to be on it here tonight. It looks like Quinn may have jumped a little bit too early as he has to let JR Mason back through. Jess also being overtaken by J Luke. J Luke now trying to come through the field as quickly as he can. Lap 27 of 36. It is Mattis that leads the way, but with all those time penalties in the net race lead is Rich, and Rich 8 tenths ahead of Joe B, who is yet to get back in his car as you see him ghosting there. And now you got JR Mason, who is effectively in a podium position right now, Cole.
Yes, he certainly is. Unfortunately, he's got these lap cars to deal with. So, if you are listening and you are lapped, please get out of the way and let these faster drivers overtake you. I know it's frustrated, but it is very, very off-putting having a ghost car near you. But the drivers are handling it pretty well at the minute, to be fair. They're not doing too bad considering. But look at the pace that Matthias has got on these soft compound tyres. Such a shame that he's got that time penalty, Mike.
Yeah, and I honestly, as we go down into number 1, here comes Quinn and JR Mason side by side through turn number 1. You got J Luke trying to cut back in underneath. Joe trying to rejoin the lobby to get himself back in his car, of course, all the way down in P13. Now heartbreak for him. Here goes J Luke around the outside, all the way around the banking, unable to get the launch out that corner that he needs. But look at the run he's got now on JR Mason. Surely he's not going to go for a move up here. I know he's going to settle in behind, but Quinn now back into a podium position in this race. J Luke, though, absolutely hounding the back of that McLaren in front.
Yeah, isn't he just? He's really showing good pace, but he needs to get on with it here, J Luke. He knows that he needs to get this overtake done as soon as possible because he knows his tyres aren't going to last. There's still another 8 laps to go. He's already done 3 laps on these tyres, so they're not going to be in a very good state. So he's going to have to push and push now to get this manoeuvre done. But Mike, he's not close enough, I don't think.
No, and he's got to get the move done ASAP. Someone who may be close enough to make an overtake is Salu on the back of Jess here for P6. And remember, Salu trying to recover his race as J Luke gets through on Mason up in the P4. And that's exactly what J Luke needed. Now we can try and launch up the road. And that's Papa Squanch with a 10-second speeding penalty into the pit lane. Salu and Fungi are side by side momentarily coming into turn number 2. And that's Papa Squanch retiring from the race. And honestly, it's not great to see, unfortunately, from Papa Squanch. And honestly, if I'm Catherine, Trash Panda, or Geese right now, or even, I mean, I'm not going to say Joe, because if Geese makes a pit stop, then if I'm Joe, I'm making a pit stop for a fresh set of softs to go for that fastest lap as well. Yeah,
that's a really good point, actually, Mike. Yeah, this is why I'm always baffled when drivers retire. Because, you know, especially somebody that likes a Papa Squanch. I mean, that was almost a dead cert 1 point there. And that, you know, that can make a hell of a difference come the end of the season. So I'm very, very surprised that he's decided to retire. But, I mean, I'm just so gutted for Matthias because his pace on these tyres are bonkers quick. J Luke, look at the pace J Luke's got now as well. They're setting the fastest lap of the race of 11.3. Yeah, Salu gets through on Jess, so each Salu up into 6th place.
Funky side by side with Jess as well as they headed into turn 2 and through the bank, and Jess is going to hold on to that. But look at the run Funky's going to get as he's underneath the rear wing of that Red Bull. I think if Funky used a bit of battery there, he may have been able to get that move done, but he's going to settle in behind Jess for the time being. And honestly, Cole, maybe the reason Mattis has not made a pit stop under the safety car, maybe the 10-second time penalty was not a fair time penalty. He's looking to get that removed in the stewards later.
It could well be. That might well be the case. I think he had it in the pit lane. Maybe. I mean, what we don't know is maybe somebody hit him in the back.
He's around.
Matthias is around. Oh, such a shame. Now, is that a sign that the tyres are starting to go? So is that an indication that these soft tyres are coming towards the end of their life? Let's wait and see. We'll keep an eye on the times. Quinn in the lead. Quinn in the Ferrari takes the lead. I mean, Mike, we were saying that it was a poor strategy decision to take his engine penalty at this race, but my God, how wrong are we? Started at the back, Quinn leads with 5 laps to go.
Do you know what, Cole? I think this all comes down to that early pit stop on the intermediates, because when he was able to check on the set of the hards, he was just able to climb all the positions. Everyone else was pitting around him, and he got himself into this position where, under the second safety car, he was able to pit with everyone else to be on the same tyre, the better tyre, I would say as well, right at the right time to really take advantage of this. Now, he needs to hope that he's not going to get caught up in any Mercedes teamwork shenanigans, because he's got two he's got 2 silver arrows directly in behind him. Both of them will have DRS, but J. Luke on a set of the soft compound tyres is going to be released by Rich, and now this is where the people in Maranello, all the workers back in the Scuderia Ferrari garage, are going to be biting their fingernails. They're going to be tapping their feet, anxiously waiting to see if that silver arrow is going to knock the Scuderia off the top step of the podium.
Yes, and we haven't got long left, Mike. We're lap 32 of 36. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. Now, who is that for?
Geist.
Yeah, I think it is. Poor old Geist having a bit of a nightmare there, down in 13th place. But look at J-Luke. He is in DRS of Quinn. And these tyres on that Mercedes don't seem to be going off. And he is in DRS, so he's going to be certainly challenging Quinn down into turn 1 on lap 33, Mike.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Under the safety car, you got to think that that's probably 2 laps fresher than what we're actually seeing right now. So these are like 5-lap old softs instead of 7-lap. As we come through the final corner, DRS is wide open for J. Luke, and here comes the silver arrow. Is Mercedes versus Ferrari, like it was back in the years of like 2017, 2016. I don't even know, Mercedes absolutely dominated that season, but 2018, like, it's Mercedes versus Ferrari once again. The age-old rivalry, Colin, has come back out to play.
Yes, here it is. Back. We're back a few years ago. We're like you said, Mike, we're Ferrari versus Mercedes. Unfortunately, only one Mercedes up there. Leroy's had a bit of a nightmare of a race, down in 9th with a 3-second time penalty. But Salo now up into 4th place. As Quinn gets past J-Luke again, what a manoeuvre that was. I don't know whether that was a mistake. He's trying to hang it round the outside. Who's got the DRS? It's Quinn. Quinn heads towards... He's turned it off. Quinn accidentally turned his DRS off there.
No, strategy. This is... he is
clever.
Getting ready for this start finish straight.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, fair play, Quinn. You had me hook, line and sinker there, mate. Now, here we go. Is he going to get him? Sure enough. Right in the slipstream. But look at Rich.
Yeah,
look at Rich. Rich going to make it 3 wide.
No, he's not. As the 2 Mercedes side by side, not what either of them want. So they're still side by side. They're still battling tooth and nail, and Rich has to bail out of that one. But honestly, we can see the strategy there now. Quinn wants to play a little bit of DRS mind games with J. Luke. J. Luke saw that, and he wanted to say, "Okay, you want to play those games, Rich? How much battery you got, my friends?"
Absolutely, utterly bonkers. I mean, this is going to go right until the end. Now, the thing is, J-Luke's not really in a position where he could just, like, bide his time and have a go on the last lap, because his tyres are not going to get any better. Now, Mike's dead right when he says that really they're 7 laps old because there was a couple under the safety car. But I'm pretty certain we're coming to the point where the medium tyres, especially the likes of Quinn on 9 laps, are probably going to be in a better state than J-Luke. But J-Luke's still within that DRS. Is he going to have a go, Mike, or will he wait?
I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to have a go. But the thing is, this needs to be the other way around for the Mercedes lads. And I'm not going to lie, Cole, what a recovery drive for the man currently in 4th place right now. He's in this DRS train. It's Salu.
Yeah, I mean, look at the pace he's got. Let's not rule out a podium for Salo here, Mike. I mean, the pace that he's got is astonishing. These guys are fighting as well, so of course that's helping Salo even more. And we're going to have a four-way fight for the lead with a lap and a half to go.
Will it be Quinn taking the race win? Remember, in Imola, he crossed the line in first place, but with the penalty, he ended up losing that. Obviously, with the time penalty that he had. J. Luke, his first race back here in One Hub Racing in some time. Is he going to come back to a race victory? Rich, will this be a race victory for him? Remember, he's been a driver that's been great in qualifying. In the race, it hasn't gone his way. Salu, of course, another driver whose race has not ever turned out the way he's wanted. Even tonight, it's been awkward. But here comes J. Luke now on DRS, on the ERS. He's going to move to the inside in towards turn number 1. J. Luke down the inside. And it's going to be a little bit deep. And here comes Quinn with the undercut coming back at him. And looks like J. Luke is just about able to hold on to the net race lead right now. There's very few opportunities, but he runs deep into the bank corner. And that's going to allow Quinn to draw almost side by side with him. And it is Scuderia versus Ferrari as we head up the hill in towards turn number 7. Flying down now, the flat out right-hander. It's going to be J. Luke holding on to this position for the time being, but one more little dose of DRS down into the turn 11-12 chicane. And look at that, Salo down the inside of Rich. To turn number 10 and through turn 10 we'll go right now, as Salo is looking to get the move done on Rich for the final podium position. And these two are side by side as Quinn, look at this, with Salo and Rich is still side by side.
So close.
And coming through the final two corners, DRS will be activated. Can Quinn get enough for a run to overtake J. Luke on the run to the line? And what about
It's going to be so close, Mike. It's going to be so close. Who's going to get it? It's J. Luke by a...
Oh, look at JR Mason. JR Mason gets funky on the line.
Oh, by 5 thousandths of a second. Mason there, top 5. He'll be delighted. Salo, what a recovery. What a recovery. That shows such brilliant character from the driver. His race was pretty much done, but he never gave up. He kept it in there and gets on the podium, Mike. What a drive. What a performance.
Can I just say, Cole, I don't think I've seen something like that in all the years I've done commentary, where you have the top two in essentially a drag race to the line, the final podium position in essentially a drag race to the line, and then the battle for 5th and 6th also in a drag race to the line.
Absolutely amazing, and we have to give credit, to be honest, to the One Hub organisers who organise these tiers. They spend all their time. They spent so much time trying to put drivers in the right tier. It's not just whimsically done. With a 5-minute chat. And it just proves that the hard work that they've done to get these drivers in the right tier as close as possible, and this is the result. You get epic races like that. Absolutely brilliant. Mike, I'm with you. I'm going to say it now. That is, without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest league race I have ever had the pleasure of watching and ever had the pleasure of commentating on. Absolutely astonishing race. Look at that. 2.649 seconds covering the top 6 drivers. Absolutely amazing.
And let's go ahead and run you through the order one more time. It was J. Luke who took victory with the fastest lap as well, with Quinn in 2nd place. Salu there completing the podium. Rich in 4th place. JR Mason in 5th. For Funky in 6th. Cowboy in 7th. For Skrillex in 8th. Joe B in 9th. And Jess running out the top 10. Geist in 11th with Leroy in picking up that final podium point position in 12th. And then then we had Mattis here, the last of the finishers, in 13th. Trash Panda a lap down in 14th, and Catherine, Papa Squanch, Kenzie and Whooping Problem there with a DNS to their name outside of the top 10. The fastest lap I believe goes to, as that went off my screen, but I saw someone got a 11.9 and I believe that would have been Leroy perhaps.
Yes, I think it was. That is obviously J. Luke's first win for a long time. I'm very, very much looking forward to having a chat with him, actually, because I'm so pleased for him. He would not have been expecting that at all. Mike, so I'm going to pick my driver of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I have narrowed it down to about 14 drivers.
Okay, yeah.
But do you know what? For the character show, I have to give it to Salo. That's definitely my driver of the day nomination. You know, he was down and out, but he never gave up. You know, he never decided, sod it, I'm going to retire in the pit lane and we'll come back next week. He dug deep, didn't give in, drove brilliantly, got his strategy right towards the end. So, Salo, my question for you is, did you really think, after getting that penalty, that you were going to get on the podium? Did you really think it was possible?
And honestly, I'm glad you said Salo, because if you went with anyone else, I was also going to give it to Salo, so I'm glad you went for Salo there. But because you have gone for Salo, I know it's a little bit boring, but I'm going to give it to the race winner here tonight in J. Luke. And my question for him is, what a way to come back into One Hub Racing with a fantastic race victory on your first race back. Did you think that the soft tyres were going to last towards the end? And how nervous were you with the ferocious battling that you was having towards the end with Quinn and, of course, your teammate in Rich?
Yeah, that's a very good nomination and certainly deserved as well, Mike. I mean, I'm out of breath, Mike. I don't know what to say. I mean, absolutely stunning. And if that isn't an advert for how brilliant One Hub is, and not only One Hub, to be fair, how brilliant league racing can be. You know, there's been a lot of negativity about the F1 game and the state it's in. And, you know, and I'm not saying it's not justified, but look what happens when it goes right. Absolutely brilliant. I'm so pleased for all the drivers. There's going to be a lot of happy drivers this evening after that race. I think, you know, the likes of, you know, J. Luke's obviously going to be ecstatic. Rich is going to be chuffed. Salo's going to be over the moon. You know, Mason's going to be delighted as well. You know, it's going to be, yeah, it's a nice happy occasion, this one, I think. I think there will be a couple of drivers disappointed, Mike, but I think the vast majority of them are going to be delighted.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, before we wrap things up here tonight, of course, massive shout out again to our sponsors at Next Level Racing. Of course, Pure Sim Gear to Vespertwin, and of course, Sim Grid, as well as the Mental Health Foundation. As we said earlier, if you are struggling, do talk to someone. Never suffer in silence. It is important to talk. And Cole, next week it's the second sprint race of the season, and we head to Sin City as we head to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, that is such a different track to this one, Mike. A different layout, style, everything all together, not even similar. And I'm really looking forward to that one. It's a chaos creator, is Las Vegas. But let's see what happens. Let's savor the moment for this race as we look forward to Las Vegas next Sunday.
Yeah, and of course, Vegas, Australia, China, the next 3 races in the calendar. This is where I'm expecting to see the bulk of the engine penalties and the gearbox penalties being taken this season, due to the fact that both China and Vegas are sprint races as well. So people will be trying to get rid of them at the sprint race because there's more opportunities to score points there. And then, of course, with Australia, it's such a track where it's going to be easier to overtake because of the 4 DRS zones. You're going to be able to gain positions and climb through the order. The only other race apart from that I think that people may be looking at is potentially Bahrain. I don't think anyone will be able to get to the Belgian Grand Prix to take it there, as Abu Dhabi is a bit is not really Suzuka. I mean, I don't think anyone will take one at Suzuka, so I'm thinking the next 3 rounds is where we're going to see the penalties, the grid penalties come into play.
Definitely, I think you're right. And don't forget now, guys. In quarter of an hour time, at 7 o'clock, we have our our P1 tier, and our very own Mike here will be racing. So please tune in, give him plenty of support in the chat, and let's hope that the race is exciting as the P2 one.
Yeah, we can only hope. But that's, of course, going to end things here in P2. Massive congratulations to J. Luke on the victory, Quinn in second place, and, of course, Salu completing the podium. I have been Michael Edwards. He has been Colin Mason, and we'll catch you next week for round number 5 at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Until then, guys, is goodbye from the pair of us.
Good night, all.